We are going to crash Hamas to the end. We will do to Hamas what you did with the Americans to ISIS. Hamas is not an organization. It's a terror, barbarian group, which is worse than ISIS.
Well, the UN has urged Israel to withdraw its order for people in northern Gaza to evacuate, warning of the devastating humanitarian consequences. Israel, though, has massed soldiers near Gaza ahead of this expected ground offensive. So let's speak now to Yaakov Amidror, who's former Israeli Major General and National Security Advisor to Benjamin Netanyahu, who's on the line now. Good afternoon to you. We've seen the scale of atrocities carried out by Hamas. It's been laid out in graphic terms, not least in these pictures, astonishing pictures that have been released on the official Israeli government Twitter accounts. Given that, how would you be advising Mr. Netanyahu to respond?
Look, we made mistake in the past. In some operations, we heard the international community, we heard friends who urge us to take into account the humanitarian issue, and the result is 1,400 Israelis butchered by a barbarian organization. Instead of going a few years ago to destroy the organization, we heard the voices from all around the world. We stopped the operation, and the result is very clear. So this time, we are not going to hear or to take into account the voices from the United Nations and other organizations. We are going to crash Hamas to the end. We will do to Hamas what you did with the Americans to ISIS. Hamas is not an organization. It's a terror, barbarian group, which is worse than ISIS. It's not me saying it's Secretary Austin, who visited Israel and saw the places and the pictures and heard the stories. He said it's worse than ISIS. So we will do to them what you and the Americans did to ISIS. We will run after them, killing one by one. And the price that the Palestinians will pay, they have to ask their leaders, and they elected Hamas as their regime. So no free lunch. If you are electing Hamas as your regime,
well, except there haven't been proper elections for Hamas in many, many years. So, yes, I mean, I just wonder whether, I wonder whether, if I could just ask my question, why should ordinary Gazans pay the price for this atrocity by Hamas? That's what I want to know from you.
Yes, very good question. Did you ask yourself when you bombed Dresden why the ordinary German should pay the price for Hitler regime? When you are now, in those days, giving the Ukrainians weapons to bomb Russian cities on the other side of the line, do you ask yourself what will happen to ordinary Russian citizen who disliked Putin very much?
Yeah.
No.
I wasn't alive. I wasn't alive during Dresden.
But an enemy is an enemy.
Yeah, no, we as journalists consistently ask about, what is sometimes called collateral damage, the awful phrase for when civilians are injured or killed by attacks. And we would ask that of any authority invading. But I would like your answer to that question, because a lot of those ordinary Gazans may have no support whatsoever for Hamas. So why should they lose their homes or even their lives now?
First of all, the ordinary Germans, many of them didn't like Hitler. So what? It's an enemy state, and you treat the enemy state as an enemy state. And many Russians don't like Putin, and you are giving the Ukrainians all what is needed to bomb their cities, and you don't ask yourself the same question. But about Israel, you ask the question, so I answer you the answer. Because of that we are more sensitive than you and more sensitive than others, we are asking the population to leave the area, to move 20 kilometers to the south, so they will not be in the battlefield and they will not be killed, and no collateral damage.
Well, except they are still being killed.
One remark. More than that, we are evacuating our population from the area. We are moving our population from all the settlements and the cities near the border far, so they will not be part of the battleground.
Well, except that
fair enough to ask the other side to do the same.
If I could ask this, you're talking about them moving to the south of Gaza. Gaza, as you know, is blockaded. It's a tiny enclave. UN facilities in throughout Gaza are being bombed, including 18 UN schools, 2 of which were used as emergency shelters for displaced people. So no one in Gaza is safe, are they?
Of course, if Hamas is taking shelter under the school or near the school, ask Hamas, because according to the international law, if Hamas members are there, it's a legitimate target, according to the law. And we are very specific. We didn't bomb all the United Nations facilities. We bombed only those which had been used by Hamas. And the question should be applied to Hamas, not to us.
Okay,
Because
you speak
according
of
to the
international
international...
law then. You speak of international law. Well, Jan Egeland, the Secretary General of the Norwegian Refugee Council, says that the demand for 1.2 million Gazans to relocate would amount to the war crime of forcible transfer if that demand is not withdrawn. Are you concerned that Israel may be in breach of international law?
Not at all, because after what is his advice how to kill the Hamas, to destroy Hamas organization? If he will give us another way to do it, we will do it, because we don't know about another way, and the only way to destroy Hamas, and we will destroy Hamas after these atrocities that he did. You understand why we want to destroy Hamas. If this guy that I don't know has any view or advice how to do it without moving the population, we will be more than happy to learn.
Well,
But because
you
he
could
doesn't
allow
have,
them to
he
leave
doesn't have
Gaza
what he
for a
says.
start. Israel could allow them to leave Gaza, but
We
that isn't
left
possible
Gaza.
now, is it?
Hey, stop. We left Gaza
No,
in
no, no. I'm
2006.
not talking about
No one
Israel
leaves
leaving
Gaza.
Gaza. I'm talking about the Gazans being allowed to leave, because now, as you know, there is no escape
They
from
have
there.
they have a gate in Egypt, and if Egypt will open it, they will go.
Well, it's not open though, is it? That's the problem.
Ask the Egyptians why they don't open it. What do you want from us?
Well, because you could open some of your gates so
No,
that people could leave.
we will not let our enemies to leave the area. We
But the
want them to
Palestinian
fight and to
people
kill
shouldn't be
them.
your enemies, should they? I mean, I
No,
wonder
but we
also.
don't know. Yeah, do you know who is Hamas member, who is not? Can you identify it for us?
Also, the issue for Israel is that obviously you have hostages, Israeli hostages being held by Hamas. Some of them, Hamas says, have been killed. Some of them will inevitably get killed if this military operation goes ahead. So is their plight now of secondary concern inevitably to the country's security as a whole? You're concerned for the whole of Israel, and those hostages are unfortunately going to die.
So what you just told me, you said the Israelis have to take into consideration the cruelty of Hamas. Let them go because they have 100 Israelis in their hands. So leave them alone. Let them continue to be an organization of murder and barbarian system because they are holding 100 Israelis. And you have to take into consideration and leave them and let them to continue to build their capabilities. No, these Israelis will not be the shelter of the Hamas organization. We will kill all the Hamas members slowly but surely, as you did
But
to ISIS.
but
We
you
will
may
not do
you
something
may
that you didn't make to ISIS.
yeah, but you
We
may
will do
end
the
up
same
killing the
as you
Israeli hostages into the bargain.
maybe, but the blood of will be on the hands of the Hamas and not ours, because the alternative. What is the alternative that you are offering us? To say, okay, because they have 100 Israelis, don't fight them, don't kill them, let them continue to be as they are, butchering civilians, women, children, babies in their beds because they have 100 Israelis. So let them go. It's okay. I mean, it's not
But can you
okay, but
imagine how the
you cannot fight
families?
them.
But can you imagine how the families of the hostages will feel hearing you
Very
say
bad,
that?
very bad. No question that Hamas took a lady at the age of 80 and a baby at the age of 3 years, and people from their families, and within from a music festival. Very bad, no question. But what is the alternative? What you say, you have to have your mercy and think about the families and about the hostages and don't fight Hamas. This is the conclusion that you are giving us. No, we will fight Hamas, in spite the fact that they are holding 100 Israelis, and we will kill them all. All the Hamas members will be killed at the end of the war, even if it will take a year.
You know, this has been a colossal intelligence and military failure by the Israeli
Yes,
state that, you know, led up to
yes,
this. And we've seen the public anger at Israeli ministers.
yes.
Do you think that your old boss, Benjamin Netanyahu, can survive this?
We postpone all the investigations and all the consequences and all the questions to the end of the war. We are now in the middle of the war.
But
We
at
are
the end of the war,
focusing.
it's inevitable that he goes, isn't it?
I don't know if he will go, but we will investigate. And Israeli democracy. If the people decide that he will have to go, it's a democracy. He will leave. If the people decide that he didn't make any mistake in this operation, I don't know what will be the result. I know that many people that don't like Netanyahu anyhow say because of the war he has to resign. But many people who like him very much say he doesn't have he didn't make any mistake in this war, so why should he resign? I don't know. It's a democracy. At the end of the day, it's not in his hands. It's
Okay.
in the hand of the Israeli people.